Welcome to episode 2 of the RSS build. In today's episode, we're building a steering wheel. Let's do it. And to start today's episode, we're getting a nice package from Sencut Sen. Now, they didn't sponsor this video, but I definitely would love to work with them in the future because I use their services to cut the center section of the steering wheel. As you can see here, it's 1/4 inch thick aluminum of the 5052, I believe. And there's it mocked up in the car. Oh, and I was so stoked. I had to jump in and give it a little, pretend, kick the clutch around. And yeah, I just fell in love with it. So now that we had that fun, we're going to jump in and go ahead and start getting the wood ready to start cutting our hectagons out for our CNC milling. Now that the wood is all secured, we can go ahead and upload the G-code to the OpenBuild CNC. This thing's, we've definitely abused it, but it's a great machine, and yeah, let's get to it. Now that we get the G-code uploaded to the OpenBuild CNC, I go ahead and probe it, and if you don't know what probing is, it pretty much just allows the machine to know exactly where it is and where the stock is and its height, so it can start exactly where I set the toolpath to start at. Now, once it's done probing and making contact with itself and completed that conductivity, it goes ahead and cuts. Now, you could probably already tell that it's going to hit that wood screw, and it almost did. I stopped it and moved it to get it out of the way, but after that, I just finished up cutting all those triangles. And once those triangles were done, we can now sand them down and get them ready to make a hexagon. And it was pretty easy. I do wish that I had a more accurate machine to cut these pieces, and I did design a better tool path after I'd finished, but I decided just to stick with it and commit to this hexagon idea. And what I'm doing now is laying down some saran wrap so the wood glue doesn't glue the piece I'm trying to use to the table. So yep, I'm using some Titebond wood glue, and after pushing them together, I used some wood screws to secure everything together and made sure over time to put more glue in there, sand it down. With those pieces gluing, I jumped on Fusion 360 and decided to finish up my toolpath to get ready once those pieces were dry. Now, as you see here, this is probably the third stage of cutting, and the first stage was to level off that surface so I could flip it and it would be very even so the pieces would come out as accurate as possible. Now, the first time around, I made the mistake of seeing the whole thing without even doing the drill holes for the brass kind of rivets that are going to go in and hold the wheel to the aluminum, which was a big mistake because it moved the piece and I had to actually put my hand in there and it was just a mess. But trust me, the second time around for the other side, I didn't make that mistake again. But as you can see here, there's almost no material holding down the wood itself, but it still worked, and I'm really proud, honestly. Even though it made some mistakes, it still came out fantastic. Now here's me sanding for hours, or just listening to music, chatting away with friends, just kind of trying to get some imperfections out and make it really solid. Now, I was using 600 and then progressing up here and there, 800, till I had what I thought was awesome. And I was really proud of it. The walnut was looking really nice with the aluminum, and here I am testing the brass, which I got at a local hardware store. And now it's time to actually polish the aluminum, because it's going to be a pain to polish it once the wood's all glued and epoxied in, and I don't want to damage the wood, especially after sealing it. So I spent approximately 4 days polishing it. And after polishing it, I decided to jump on the wheel to try to spin it up, but to be honest, that didn't exactly go to plan. So that wheel is a death machine. I've always loved it until now. It whacked the living shit out of my wrist. It's just gonna be a bruise, that's it. I was really worried because it threw the steering wheel into the stratosphere. I thought I dented it and I was really upset, but actually it's not too bad. It's still pretty solid. Like, that's a little, but it's not bad at all. So I'm gonna use the hand wheel. I'm gonna screw it down and hand wheel it and polish it that way. So now that we decided to go the safer route and use the hand wheel, I'm going to go ahead and keep polishing with this kind of marine aluminum compound, and then you kind of dust it off and you start the process. And I actually decided that I needed to take out some more material, so I used 1,000 grit wet sandpaper and, constantly putting that blue stuff, which allows you to see kind of some scratches and deeper areas where you need to sand. And then after that, it was time to put on the more 3M marine glaze, just keep on going and keep on buffing. Now, it was pretty tedious and really messy, but honestly, I really loved how it turned out. It still looks hand-built. I didn't want it to be perfect because the car's not done yet. This steering wheel will see some abuse, so I wanted it to just be good enough. I didn't want to put a mirror finish on it. I will later on. If anything, I can just order more parts from Sencut Send. And now I'm measuring up my brass fittings. Now these will hold the steering wheel in place, sandwiching everything together in a sense. And I'll be using a high strength epoxy, 2-part epoxy, to kind of secure everything together. And with that, got some messy pieces, and with the snap of our fingers, we got some polished, ready to go, sanded brass fittings. And after some test fitting, we can see that it's actually lining up pretty well. And this is what you get when you actually CAD everything out before you build it. Now, there was some last minute changes and on the fly adjustments, but overall, this was a completely CAD'd out project, and I really wanted to just utilize the technology that I had so I could actually add some accuracy to this build and save myself time and effort and let the machines kind of do my work for me. Now here I'm gluing everything, texting people, it takes a minute for each thing to set, and after that, it is looking good. And now it's just a matter of sanding down those brass fittings so we can actually make a flush surface. And what I did here is put some tape down so I knew if I was going too far so I wouldn't damage the wood. So I could quickly be like, oh, the tape's going, I can stop on this one. And I just went around the steering wheel for a couple tries. And honestly, it turned out really well. The tape trick really worked out. Now that each piece is sanded down, we can get our first look at kind of how the profile is, how thick the steering wheel is, how it feels. But here's the thing, it's not done yet. We still, even though that air sander does a great job, we need to hand finish it to make it perfect. So grabbed a little 2x4, stuck on some sandpaper, and got to it. And at this point I realized I probably should be, treating the wood surface pretty delicately, so I put a towel down and I just sand it away delicately. This is 600 sandpaper that I'm using, and then I go ahead and hand sand around the aluminum and wood section to try to even everything out so that surface is a perfect circle. And then I use an air sander to speed everything up. Now after that, and after I felt like I did a pretty good job with the wood finish with the hand sanding, I went ahead and masked up all of the hard work we did to polish that aluminum and got ready to do the first 3 coats of sealing. Now, my choice for sealing it was this clear coat that I got from a store called Glue Products, where my factory is. Now, Glue Products has plenty of options for any project that you're doing, but after 3 coats and seeing the progress, I made sure to let it cure fully. And I took that time to then start my toolpath for my magnetic center hub. I had some aluminum stock that I kind of my friend pulled out of a garbage can, and I just measured it up and got to work. It took a lot because I wanted to make sure everything was perfect, and I knew my machine is not rated for aluminum. It doesn't really have the RPM, the spindle at least doesn't, and also it doesn't exactly have the strength to be plowing through material. So I took my time, I took it easy, and even with taking my time, it still was a struggle. The machine had issues. I never had bits that were strong enough. I would mess up on, cutting feed rate, things like that, because aluminum is still very new to me when it comes to CNC. But honestly, I'm not too disappointed with it. As a first try, I really do want to get a nice pocket CNC or something a little larger that can sit on the desktop to do these complicated bits. Now what I'm doing here is engraving the logo onto the hub. And honestly, it looked fantastic. And then did a little finishing stage with a round bit, 2 flute. And then from there, it was plowing material on the backside, adding those shapes and trying to get those pieces. And voila, the final product. I'm honestly really proud of it. It's not clean. It's got issues. I should have done each part on a single block of aluminum, but I had to save money and resources. So yeah, and got some of these super rare earth strong magnets, and bam,
it just snaps together. And at this point, I'm getting ready to do another 3 coats on the steering wheel. So instead of wasting my time, I went and grabbed some sticky 500 and I put it on the air sander and delicately took my time and sanded everything away, getting rid of those divots where the clear coat soaked in, as you can see here, and the sandpaper wasn't able to penetrate. So instead of wasting time, I just broke this out, gave it some pressure, and really got through. Only a few spots did I over sand, but I really wasn't worried because the clear coat will fix it up and really blend it well together. After all that prep work, it's time to actually clean up the wood and not use any chemicals in case it affects the spray paint, because we're going to do our final 3 coats with this clear glamour that I got at Glue Products. And it's a paint that you actually inject the catalyst in from the bottom, and it'll last 3 days, and after that it turns into a brick in the can. But you get a better finish with these kind of paints than the pre-catalyzed ones that kind of catalyze via air or whatever. And I made sure to take my time and take it easy and just finish this to my best ability. And honestly, I got no runs and it looked fantastic.
And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, you have a steering wheel. Now, the project did take some time, and this video did take a lot of time to shoot, so I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for not putting it out sooner. I've been in the middle of moving the RSS, so actually a new place that I'm living at, and you can probably see a clip right here of me putting it on the tow truck and getting ready to send it on its way, because I'm actually moving out of the unit that I was currently working on the car in. But either way, we have the final product. And here's the magnetic hub kind of working, and the whole reason for it was just so the mounting for the quick release would be flush, because I didn't want it to go through the logo, because I want to appreciate it. I really like my logo for the car. And then the magnets, and goes in like that, and there's locating pins so it stays secured where it's supposed to be. It doesn't rotate or anything like that. But to be honest, this definitely needs work. This is the only thing I didn't like about the project. I've been looking at like a Bantam Tools CNC for cutting it, and I'm really interested in their product. It looks very powerful and promising. But I mean, just look at the rest of it. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The aluminum's not perfect, but like I said, I didn't want it to be perfect. I want to enjoy it. I want to see the defects from me making it. I want to, relive those memories, because honestly, I enjoy the process, not the finished product. I don't know if it's like that for other people, but yeah, I'm really happy with it. But if you guys want to see more of this project, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And I promise I'll post a video as soon as I can. I'm thinking we do some brake lines next episode, which sounds like so much fun. See you guys. Bye.